Is it letterbox or letterboxed?
With the D.
Ah, I got it wrong.
That's okay.
Letterboxed.
It's really cool. A lot of people use it and like look at other people's
I'll
profiles.
start using it.
Yeah, you should. I've got one.
Hi, I'm Nicole.
I'm Harris.
And we're going to break down a scene for you from Babygirl.
Yeah. Okay, well, whatever you decide. I'll play along.
A lot of it is, this film is for people to take what they want out of it. It's not to be told what you're feeling or what we're trying to do. I think it's very much about what do you feel from it, because everybody has a different reaction to what this film is. The scene does set up the game, that's beautiful actually, and then the way in which you step into a more father figure state of being, which is unexpected and a flip on their actual roles in the company. Halina's here, by the way, the director's here.
Hey, can you get me a cup of coffee? Yeah. Safe navigation, flexibility.
She looks at him kind of with like reservation. You know, she doesn't open up yet to him, but you can immediately sense that she's interested. And to me, also that scene is also about generations. She is, you know, from a very different time and a very different world than he is. And he's kind of more at ease and more confident, it seems, which is a little bit of a cliche of what Gen Z is, you know, around authority.
And tell him. I mean, technology alone can't handle everything, can it? Anyway, I have to go. All right, I gotta go. Bye.
Let's be honest, we're generalizing here, but it's sometimes fun to generalize. There is something to Gen Z where they are not that impressed by hierarchy, and they are more confident. That's also because they have the world in the palm of their hands. We all do now with our iPhones, but they grew up with it. So they could Google anything. We had to kind of go to a library and get an encyclopedia, and, you know, so they have so much more knowledge, so they're able to communicate on so many different levels and so fast and think so fast and connect the dots so fast. So I do think that part of the character of Samuel represents that, where he actually has more confidence in a situation like that. And part of it is also just the chemistry between two people. I find that sexual attraction often comes from things that are very unexpected. You know, on paper, you would never think that they would be attracted to each other. Because again, they come from totally different worlds, totally different generations, and they are in totally different departments of the company. But yet they are attracted to each other because he might have a certain background, maybe a certain wound that connects to hers. And that is how we slowly see them bond and see them connect throughout the story.
I don't think Samuel fully understood that he needs to maybe like lower his status a bit to the boss of the company. And so maybe that's what you're talking about. Like, I don't think I was fully socially aware of the expected dynamic between us, you know?
Hey, how'd you get that dog to calm down?
I gave it a cookie.
You always have cookies on you?
Yeah. Why do you want one? You asked me about why I've got cookies in my pocket. Do I always have them?
I think that's funny.
And I do always have them in my pocket.
Of course.
To keep them. But yeah, those.
Not very good cookies.
No, they're not. A bit soft, are they? Yeah.
No, I mean, not to offend the makers, but
Yeah.
they've been in Harris's pocket, so.
All week.
They're not homemade.
What was very important to us was that from the very first moment, there would be humor between them. And I think the way he handles it and the irony that we almost see in his eyes when he says, yeah, I gave it a cookie, do you want one? And that also, of course, sets out this kind of sexy way of how they treat each other and how they will explore. So you kind of see the whole movie within this little scene in the beginning.
What's your favourite cookie?
I love oatmeal raisin.
Oh no, raisin in a cookie.
You're not allowed to criticize my
Sorry.
choice of
Sorry.
cookies.
Sorry.
What's your favourite cookie?
Just like a chocolate chip, like soft cookie. Yeah.
I like it if it's very warm and freshly baked. I think a lot of that scene was played because we did it so many different ways. We tried things, we would ad-lib a little bit and play with it because Halina was very interested in finding. It was one of our first big scenes that we shot in the film.
I think I was quite nervous, to be honest.
Which is great for the scene. So a lot of those things, I think they just vibrate in the scene and therefore they morph and change depending. So we were lucky that we had a lot of takes and she'd made the time for that scene to be properly explored.
You shouldn't drink coffee after lunch. How many do you drink a day?
None of your business. 7.
That scene is the start of the game between them, the start of the dynamic. And there's a lot going on in that scene because immediately what we know is Romy is the CEO, the boss of this company, and he's an intern. So kind of like the lowest rank of everything. But within a couple of seconds, he kind of flips the power dynamic by saying to her, because she's asking him to make her a cup of coffee. That is already, of course, she gives him an assignment, he makes her the coffee, he gives her the coffee, and then he immediately says, you shouldn't drink coffee after lunch, which is such a weird thing to say for an intern to the highest of the highest boss. And what I'm trying to do with that scene is to have fun with their power dynamic and to show immediately that he is not acting totally according to the hierarchy and how he should act, but that he, has his own way of kind of penetrating her and working through her masks. And he's also behaving almost in a fatherly way, which is very important for the rest of the story. And also a little bit, I think, for her, the coffee is a total addiction, right? And it's about energy, what you're saying, and it's about being awake and being in charge, and him undermining that very subtly, and him telling her what to do, is of course what also pulls her in and what attracts her. Because if you are in a position of power, there's not a lot of people who dare to speak to you in a way where, they dare to have fun with you and make jokes with you and maybe tell you off a little bit. And he, even though he's so young, he immediately does that with her. And yeah, that intrigues her. And I think from his side, I think he sees this woman that of course he looks up to, that he probably, Googled, and he knows, he's going to be an intern in her company. But he also sees this vulnerability in her eyes. And I think that is for him kind of the start of exploring a dynamic between them where he is more masculine and she is more feminine.
We're in the characters, and I think there's a lot of play. Once you're solidly in, then it will change accordingly. But I don't know if we were thinking so much about all of the
little movements. And
No.
Okay.
That's up to the director, the cinematographer, and all of them. We're there to respond to each other and be with each other.
Yeah, we are being delicately architected by Halina with this sense. We turn up and we have our character and our world, but we're playing with each other and we're exploring it. And the wider thing is really Halina.